A little low. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Security Tales. My apologies for the lateness today. We had some upsetting things that were occurring. I shouldn't say upsetting things. I'm lying. They weren't upsetting. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm just getting set up. Chris is on again on Zoom. Chris, say hi. What the heck, Chris? You sound so low now. I have you all the way up. What's going on? Go ahead, Chris. Say something.
Can you hear me now?
You're so low. Literally low as anything. I'm going to have to get you on the phone, kid. On it. So you're literally low as anything. Very low. Hold on, bro. Sorry, everybody. I know we keep running into issues every week with something ridiculous, but give us a second. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to kick back. For some reason, your volume is so low. Turn down the mic to the computer over at you, though.
I just muted it.
Okay. Why am I still hearing? I'm hearing me talk back.
How's that sound? Well, you're hearing yourself. Hey, let me turn it down. Good.
Hello? Yeah, way better, way better.
Okay.
Yeah, just turn the computer down. You can put the phone on the mic.
All right. Well, I figured it'd sound better this way.
Nah, way better that way. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's well. Chris is on the thing. My apologies. I had one of my final dentist appointments today. I had to have 2 posts placed in after my bone graft. So do apologize if I have a little lisp today, and got quite a few stitches in the mouth today. So we're gonna live on it. And because I said we're gonna do the podcast, ran a little later than I expected today. So Chris, so I was having a hard time getting Chris on. So I'm gonna have to get Robbie the Robber in here again to figure out an easier system to do with the Zoom thing, because some reason it's not feeding over. So, anyways, welcome back to Security Tales. I'm Felipe Montero, and I got my co-host Chris Kosher, and he's over here on the Zoom today. We're diving into something deep and close to home: the failures of law enforcement in Massachusetts, from corrupt drug labs that destroyed tens of thousands of cases to state troopers caught stealing overtime to a prison system forced into federal oversight. These aren't small mistakes. They are system breakdowns. People ask why we trust law enforcement is shaken tonight. We lay it out on the facts, names and dates, no sugarcoat, no excuses, just accountabilities. So one of the reasons, Chris, I wanted to discuss with this, because people are coming up to me going, well, the first show, you guys were discussing about law enforcement since you both have backgrounds in it. And, Chris with the states, you with the prison systems, and, now I do security and a private investigator. And they wanted to know the grits and grimes of it and think that we are hiding behind things and thinking that, everything's good, that, we support all blue and, we're all, go team blue and stuff. What we believe in is rightfully systematic systems and how they should work and how they should occur. So, I kind of wanted to discuss, how do you feel about us speaking about this today, Chris?
I feel fine. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. In fact, I just saw a story. Was it the other day? It was only a little short thing, but a guy interviewing a new colonel about the past problems and ways that they're going to fix it.
What's that for the Mass State Police?
Yeah. It was just a short little interview where he was just talking. They were kind of walking around talking and stuff.
So
about
they're
building back confidence.
There's a new colonel now stepping in.
Well, when I say new, he's been there, I think, like 11 months, but he's from the outside. He's from New Jersey, which is,
oh yeah.
first time in history they've done that. So
Okay. So kind of wanted to open it up with like a cold open. So some people ask why the public loses trust. So today we're looking at documented failures across Massachusetts. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about, Chris, was this happened and occurred a little while ago. And the reason why I had brought it up is because we started talking about the situations that were happening with the attorneys now and not representing the cases that are occurring right now and a lot of people being set free. So kind of went back and I looked up some stuff from the past. And remember this, two state chemists falsified tainted evidence. Annie Dokan from Hinton Labs in Boston and Sonjo Farak from Amster Lab Amherst. The Massachusetts SGHC ordered tens of thousands of dismissals. This is the largest mass dismissal of wrongful convictions in U.S. history. Stumper Q's combined number of drug cases tossed 24,000 plus. Both labs in years of misconduct from 2003 to 2012. And in Amherst for all the mistakes and falsified, stuff that they did from 2004 to 2013. Remember that case?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
I was going to say, the reason why I brought up that case, didn't you have some drug bust that occurred that you probably lost because of this?
Well, I mean, this was kind of after the fact, so you're not going to know because, say, for example, the case has already been adjudicated, and now they're going to go back and erase things after the fact. So they're not going to like sit there and notify you what cases were. It was because it bound to affect everybody on the state police. It was 24,000 cases. That's insane. Remember, I mean, it was years in the making, so a lot of those cases were already done with. So people really didn't know, like, maybe the fresher ones, people, the trial was screwed up, but on the older ones, the people could have already been out of jail, because it was over a 9-year period, so it's a long time.
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting case just due to the fact that the criminals that were indicted that probably had some great indictments and you guys busted your ass on it and did what you did and you had to throw all that evidence out and all that crap. And I just wanted
to remember it was over a 9-year period, so whatever, say within a year or two everything's been adjudicated and it's over. Now 9 years later a person could be even out of jail, and I mean, I assume they're just erasing the arrest from his bot. So
Jesus.
But, yeah, no, it's a lot of unbelievable things, but in any large organizations, that stuff's unfortunately going to happen. And the only thing I can say is they were civilian chemists. They weren't on the job.
So what do you mean by they were civilian?
The chemist was civilians. It's not a trooper who was trained to be a chemist. It's a civilian chemist that was hired, who worked for the state, who, granted, it was run by probably a captain or a major. And they were civilians. They weren't, it was like a civilian employee working for the state. It wasn't a trooper that we trained to be a chemist.
So you guys do have people that you guys trained to be a chemist on the department?
No, that's what I'm saying. They come, they go to school for chemistry or whatever they need to go to school for. And, we look for people and we hire them. So they're already chemists when they come to us. It's not like a trooper is doing that job, because I would think there'd be a certain amount of training, so they are civilians who did that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. Jesus, that's good. I just wanted to say I'm unable to see the comments from people right now. They're blocked out for some unknown reason. And I'm not going to go screw with it. We got this far and it took us this long. So the other one I wanted to bring up is some stuff that had occurred was the state police overtime and abuse from Troop E. Troop E turnpike scandal. Troopers billed for hours not worked. MSP moved to discipline 22 troopers. Several criminal cases resulted in guilty pleas, and reforms included e-tickets and GPS cruises tracking. Stumper Q, how many troopers disciplined in 2020? So obviously you were on during this time. And what I think I find interesting is, did any of these people lose their jobs? Would you know of? Because I couldn't see that.
One in particular. So granted, a lot of it, all this is wrong, I will say, but there was only, I'm sure there was more than one, but I remember one person in particular who was egregious, who did get fired. Some of these things were gray areas that were actually honestly accepted workings.
So are you saying because it's past practice and this is how it's always happened?
It's not past practice. So honestly, what would happen is, they would write their tickets, and some guys may leave an hour early or something like that. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they would do their work quicker than others, and they would get their work done in 3 hours instead of 4 or something like that. But yes, it was, it was done before. And the guy who really, the trooper who did get fired was really bad. He did some really messed up things that I don't know anyone else who did.
Okay.
So you got a guy who, maybe, I know you maybe told me a story or two. You got a guy who's on his shift who, may leave his post like 15, 20 minutes early.
Yeah. We're not just
little stuff like that. No, I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into prison stuff too, and that's what I mean. So it's stuff that we're familiar with and what's occurred. And the interesting part, Chris, that I also gathered from this is even after this situation that occurred, I forget what year it occurred in. Right? What year was that? Could you remember?
For what we're talking about now?
Yeah.
I think you said. I heard you. I don't remember.
2020.
You said 2020, I thought.
Yeah, 2020, I believe. So, how about right after that, the case with the what was it? The Massachusetts RMV was just signing over tractor trailer licenses for money. That just occurred, huh?
Yes. That's been going on for probably a couple of years, actually.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a new case. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, you just had this big thing that happened with overtime abuse. Now you're supposed to wear this blue uniform. You're supposed to be this trusted individual. And now you're over there running your own scams and doing your own thing and getting paid to him. Yeah, I understand. Oh, it's only a license. Well, it's a little more than a license. You're driving a tractor trailer. That's not just a car. That's not a mini coupe. You're driving something that could detrimentally kill someone, like injure someone, and you're saying, "Okay, pay me money and I'll give it to you." I'm trying to figure it all out in my head. Like, why would you do that?
And again, I don't know everything details because nobody does. But I think a lot of it was, say for example, you're going for your CDL, and you ask a friend to make a call, and the friend makes the call, and you're not actually. It wasn't that it was, hey, Philippe, hey, go there, give the guy $200, and he's going to pass you. It really wasn't like that. It was more along the lines of, hey, hey, this guy's a good guy. Go there, take your test, and maybe he wouldn't be as hard on you as he would on everybody else, because you can fail for, again, 100 reasons, and maybe he would just be a little bit kinder to you. Is what I believe happened. And yes, there were other things. There were other things where, and again, this is anything I get from the news, no personal experience, but the snow blower and the driveway getting paved and shit like that, which is obviously wrong. And if anybody wants to believe that, when you send your daughter to get a driver's license test, that if you know somebody there, you're gonna say, don't yell and scream at her, that it doesn't happen. Of course it happens.
Of course it does. I'm not going to argue that. We both know it happens. So, Chris, I'm going to put you out on the poll right now. I want to know something. So, 26 years in on the Mass State Police and K9 and all these other positions that you've had, have you ever been placed in a position where someone has offered you to either join them or offered an easy way out?
Absolutely. I have a couple of ways. So, and I don't know. Obviously I like to think I'm honest, and I don't understand how people can do it. Just the shame alone would want me, if I did something wrong would make me suicidal. I mean, I couldn't, I wouldn't do it. And so I pulled over this guy. I was on the side of the road, and pulled him over. He had a ton of cash. He had like 500,000 cash on him, and he had a truck. And I still remember, because I was joking around with him. He had a truck, and the truck had a dealer plate, because I guess he was a car dealer. And he ended up he wasn't under arrest, but I took him in because he had $500,000 cash, and he couldn't prove how he got it. So you have to kind of prove where you get that money. People may say that's right or wrong, but if you're driving around with $500,000 cash, show me what's wrong with $500,000 cash. And he's like, I'm like, well, we're gonna take the money. You're gonna come in. I'll meet you at the barracks. You're not under arrest. Meet you at the barracks. We'll count it out. We'll see what's what, and we'll see if you have an explanation for these funds. And if you don't, we'll let the courts decide. And he's just like, look, he goes, you know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to take the money. I ain't going to be able to prove where I got it. So why don't we just do this? You take half, I take half. We call it a day.
No way.
Yeah. So he offered, on the side of the road. And, would somebody find out? Who knows? Would I ever do it? No way.
Why? Why risk it? I'll be honest. Temptation would definitely be in my mind, but you're absolutely right. I'd have to deal with my demons, bro. I'd have to watch over my shoulders every day to think somehow they're gonna find out. This guy's gonna say something. Something's gonna go on. So you're absolutely correct.
The guilt would kill me every time my boss called me. I'd be like, "Oh, this is it," and I'd lose my shit. I couldn't handle the guilt, and I mean, 250 grand isn't chump change, but in the grand perspective, it is in my mind. It's chump change. There's no amount of money there's any amount of money that I could take, unless it was like $50 million, and you're going to transfer me to a non-extraditable country.
No, yeah, 250,000 isn't worth it, brother.
I couldn't handle the guilt. Well, this was like 10 years ago too, so it was a little bit. It was some real money.
No, I definitely hear you there. It's definitely something. But also, do you know anything occurrence that's happened with the Mass State Police? With anything outside of that, what I had brought up?
Oh, I know many occurrences. There was, somebody didn't think along the lines that I did, and $30,000 went missing, and it was never discovered. Discovered where the money went.
But hold on, was it taken, or was it missing from the barracks, or was it missing from a house search, a vehicle search? Like what?
So what happened was there was only two people who had access to the safe. The money was seized, just kind of like my money. So it was seized, and it was put into the safe, or something like that. And then the money was, I believe, like the money was supposedly taken out because we have to, bring it to the bank. We don't want to keep that money there. We bring it to the bank, and we put it in its own account or whatever. And the story goes that the money was put on whatever, the kitchen table, which people aren't going to steal your money inside the barracks. So it was stupid, but people will not steal money in the barracks. So it was put on the kitchen table, and person went back for it, supposedly, one of the persons who has access to it, and the money was gone. And Big and Vast look, and the person at the time happened to be building a house. That's just a little side piece. And and the resolution was because they could not figure out where it went, and they didn't think that the person took it for whatever reason. And they basically said, yeah, well, the cleaner must have thrown it out.
So money lost, nothing gained out of it. So
nope.
a crime that any of us civilians would have been held very high standards of being arrested, going through the courts, and because it happened inside of barracks, it's it's a wash.
No. Well, it's
a
not
wash.
a wash. But keep in mind, they still have to prove that he did or didn't take it. They can't just say, where's the money? And you say, I left it here and I went to the bathroom. I know the money's safe because it's in the friggin' it's, in the barracks. And, I left the money here. I went to the bathroom and I'm freaking out. I'm losing my mind and I don't know what happened. And, is the guy guilty? I don't know. Is it possible that he took it? Is it possible that somebody else took it? Is it possible that the cleaner threw it out? All are possible.
So I'm confused that a cleaner could get in an evidence room. Step one. Why would a cleaner?
No. Remember, I told you he took the money out to bring it to the bank, threw it on the kitchen table and the barracks.
Yeah, but why would? I'm sorry, Chris.
That's poor judgment.
No. That wasn't even what I was going to ask. I'm like privy to this because I don't understand it. So why would you have money that was confiscated during a crime and not leave it in the evidence locker, secured and locked, but yet you're going to go deposit it in a bank account? Whose bank account?
The bank account. They would set up a bank account. I don't know whether they're individual or whatever. I don't know if it's individual. I don't know whether they have an individual, to tell you the truth, whether it's an individual bank account set up under whatever, or every time we have a large seizure like that, we have a set of bank account 123, 124. You know what I'm saying? I honestly don't know whether it's because we don't. Well, one, remember the safes aren't that big, and we don't want to hold that money in the barracks for months and months and months. So what we do to keep it safe, we bring it to the bank and have them hold it.
So I find that so interesting. So I didn't know that.
Logical,
yeah, but I didn't know that because I always thought from watching movies, you do a huge drug bust and there's millions of dollars, like, whatever, like cartels or something get confiscated. There's millions of dollars. I always thought it goes into a storage place and they secure it and lock it. So now you're telling me it gets deposited into a bank and they get interest on it. They get all this. So whose money does it end up being?
Okay. No, I believe they put it into a non-interest bearing account, because we can't take the interest on it. We're not going to give the interest to the guy. And you need to provide a social security number for an interest bearing account. So it gets put into there, for safekeeping, because think about it. If the case takes a year or two, which some of them do, our safes aren't that big. They're like a little home safe that you have at your house. So we can't sit there and keep all that money in there. Not to mention, you want to keep hundreds, because you have 20 seizures. You want to keep fucking $1 million worth of cash in your safe. I don't.
Well, this is getting me very interested now because to me, what happens with that money in the latter side of it? Where does that money go? Like the guy goes to jail. You just confiscated $1 million. Where does it go?
All right. So one, he's not going to jail, right? So he didn't go to jail because he wasn't under arrest. We'll use my example.
Okay.
He's not going to jail because he wasn't under arrest. We were just seizing the money. We wanted him to come back to the barracks so that we can count it and we can give you a receipt for your money until it goes to court and the court decides and whether he can prove or disprove whether or not his money. So he's not under arrest. He's free to go. He's whatever he wants. We put it in the bank for safekeeping because, like I said, it could take a year or 2 or 3, right? So you don't want that money around. It's a non-interest bearing account. And, the guy, poor judgment by putting it on the kitchen table, very poor judgment by leaving it out of his sight, but at the same token, you have to prove that he stole it, just like in any other crime.
Huh. I never knew that.
And I'm sure. So think about it, right? He puts the money there. He loses. He misplaces it. It's gone. Wherever it's gone, right? The first thing you're going to do, or I'm going to do as your boss. You're going to do as a person. I'm going to be like, search me, search my car, search my locker, search everywhere right now. I'm telling you, I want you to search it because they can't anyway. I want you to search everywhere, to get me out as, a suspect. Did I do something stupid? Absolutely. But, I didn't steal it. I want you to search every square inch of me. And,
I'm just so confused with that story, just let alone all the camera systems that you have in the interior and exterior, all that
inside.
No. Okay. I thought
30,000. Well, only for bookings, and 30,000 is I don't want to say it's not that much, but it's not like you can't hide it in your pocket.
Yeah.
This one isn't a bribery story.
That's a very big pocket, bro.
Yeah, this one isn't a bribery story, but this is another good one. So we knew some information on this guy. We stopped him. I believe he had like a Dodge Ram, and brought it back to the barracks. And, you're like, you're not under arrest, but we're going to search your car. We put it in the bay. We searched his car. He's sitting in the lobby, free to go at any time. Not arrested, not nothing. We're just searching your car. And so we're searching his car. It took us a bit to find it and searching. And the guy put it in the doors. So it was a quad cab Dodge. He put it in the doors of the pickup truck. So we finally find the money, because we're looking for hides and this crazy shit. Dashboards lift up, all this crazy, you press 6 different buttons and the whole dashboard lifts up. But he had it in the doors. So we get the money out of the doors. I still remember it filled like one of those big paper boxes, where you get like 20 reams of paper.
Yeah.
So we put all the cash in the big paper box, and he's sitting in the front of the barracks, sitting in the chair, free to go at any time. We come out, we have the money in the box, put it at his feet. Is this yours? Nope. It was in your truck. I never saw it before in my life. Well, hang on. You're like, okay, all right, well, hang on. We're going to give you a receipt. He's like, for what? For the money. Why? I don't want a receipt. It's not mine. Can I leave? Yes. And he just walks out the door.
Get out of here.
Yep.
How much money was it?
Oh, like 400 and change.
Jesus. Yep. And then what happens from there? You never bother the guy again? You never go and talk to him?
We know who he is. It was, in honesty, it was a directed stop, so we did have some information on the guy. But he knows the game. What's he going to do?
He played it very well.
He knows he's not going to get it back. And hopefully he's high enough or low enough or something on the food chain where, he's alive next week.
That is, like, to me, an incredible story where this guy basically turns around and states to you that it's not his money, but millions and like $500,000 was a joke.
Yeah. Well, he knows in reality, very unlikely him getting it back.
Huh. That is interesting. So listen, I don't only want to get caught up with with obviously the police department and the state police and all that, but because of my background in the prison systems and stuff, I'll give a shout out to every guard, and everybody down there. Be safe, and keep it real. But we've had so many incidents with corruptions and everything, and the biggest thing was I remember when I started at Walpole, the constant imbalance of stuff about offices. Are you doing something, bro? Because I'm getting something echoed back now.
No, sorry. Speaker for a second.
Oh, just with officers assaulting inmates, and blah blah blah, and all this that's occurring and things like that. Now, do you want me to lie to you, or do you want me to tell you the truth? Obviously, I'm going to tell you the truth. Does things like that happen? Absolutely, things like that happen. But it happens on both ends of it. There's more officer assaults than inmates assaults. And a lot of things that happen. And what I mean by that is you could walk in there one day and everything's great. And the next thing you know, you get sucker punched and you do what you can do, whatever it is, guys jump on, and then you got your team that's going to jump on, and there's a full out brawl. So that's what we're talking about, inmate assaults and things like that occur. So does it happen on both ends? Yeah. But what I wanted to discuss was a severe assault that occurred on January 10, 2020, where several correctional officers at Souza Baranowski Correctional Center, SBCC, I was blessed to open up that place, and we're with a great group of teams and guys. Nobody in there. I'm telling you, we had a great time, and we built that place. We had a wonderful time with a great group of guys. But were violently assaulted during a coordinated attack inside Massachusetts. Only maximum prison. So everybody's got to like really understand. Walpole Prison ended up closing down. There's only one max prison. They're double bunked now over there, which to me, I think it's unfair to them also, because now I'm going to live with someone that I didn't know or somebody my whole life. And I understand I did a crime, I'm coming in, but it's kind of hard. It's like going to college and then all of a sudden them telling you this guy's your new roommate and you're not the same. You might not click. So this was coordinated attack inside Massachusetts, right? And dozens of officers were injured, and an incident triggered a massive security response in the aftermath. Inmates alleged that the Department of Correction carried out weeks of retaliation, beatings, dog attacks, solitary confinement, denial of medical care, civil rights. Lawsuits followed in May of 2025. The DOC agreed to pay over $6 million in settlements while promising major reforms. So I'm kind of little whoa by that. Just due to the fact that, I've been in a few scrimmages in the joint, whatever. I've been injured, gone in, worked, and this and that. You can't sue because you get paid workman comp. You come back, you work. I've actually worked the prison system in Walpole where we've had officers stabbed. Even worse, and they come back to work, and you deal with it. You can't sue, you can't get anything. I find it pretty interesting that these people brutally, and you could see the film, you could type it up, you could see it, the news station had it live, that was violent. It wasn't like an officer that caused a crime that's now forced to work the prison system. They go in the prison system like any of us to go and work the job, and it's for care and custody. And people got to understand that some of these people that are in there doing time aren't going anywhere, and they're violent. You can't break the violence. You're in there 24 hours a day. You're in it. You're doing time just as much as they're doing time. So, what do you feel about that, Chris?
The payout or the beating or what? Because the payout is unfriggin' believable that they got paid. How they proved that, I don't know. But yeah, dude, it's a terrible, terrible job. I mean, I can't even conceive somebody friggin', throwing a bottle of piss and SH on me. I mean, that's unbelievable. I'd take a beating before I get some SH thrown on me. But
I just want to say something because it's interesting you just said that. So I'm going to describe when I first started Walpole Prison. A friend of mine, Dean, was like, "Oh, wait till you work here. It's a good group of teams, this and that." I got placed in a place called 10 Block. Immediately, there was a person that was incarcerated that was placed in a cage. Refusal to come in, the whole 9 yard. Okay, I was a big kid. They said suit up. Never been suited up in my life. Go in on this guy. I don't know what's going on, but go to find out. He's been working the fence to get this shiv, which is a shank, which is a made knife. His goal was to stab an officer. They gave us the lowdown. We go in, take the guy down, shake his cell down. He ended up having 3 of those in there. So he was getting ready to stick, officers in there. Approximately about 2 hours later, there was an individual going off in the segregation cell, which you only come out for an hour a day for yard and do whatever and get a shower. And guy was in there ripping out. And what I mean by that, tearing apart the bed sheets, tearing off everything. Right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, it's my first day. Is this how this place is? And I guess it happens consistently. And over time of me being there, I started learning that. This guy was ripping out because the fruit juice that was being served was not orange, and he only likes orange, but he ended up getting grape. So not only did this guy, so I want everybody to really think of dealing with this outside the normality. This guy put feces all over himself, started throwing all his stuff out, somehow was able, he either through his hot pot, through whatever it was, I'm not sure because I'm not on the investigation team, started burning stuff in his cell. So now we had to go in on him. And this guy's loaded with crap, loaded with everything, his own feces all over him. He put oil on the floor that one of the guys that I went in with actually slipped and fell and hurt his shoulder really bad. So now we got to pull him out and then come over. But that was just the start of a day before 12 o'clock. Okay. So people got to understand realistically, every day in the prison system, someone that leaves their house comes into this. And I would say 90% of the guys in there doing their time are, I hate to use the word solid, but they are. They're there to do their time. They're there to do their thing. And if they could beat you, meaning not physically, meaning they could take advantage of you and get a cigarette or get whatever they do, so be it. I got beat. You know what I mean? There's nothing I could do about it. But those guys are there. But then that other percentage, they're there to make your life miserable. And you could tell that by watching that film from Souza Baranowski, where those officers got jumped. Like legitimately, there was nothing, no vision of hope of saving these people. They wanted them gone. Okay. So I don't even know what to say because I've seen it my whole career. And it's like, wow, it's like these people like that are doing these things really don't care. Don't care.
How long ago was this?
The Souza Baranowski one that
Yeah,
occurred
what-
January 10th.
What year?
That 2020, I think that occurred.
Because I remember, I think a little bit more recent where a couple of inmates, the guy was just kind of walking around.
The tit.
He walked by an inmate and he fucking started stabbing him.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of strange that you mentioned that because I actually want to play it, and I'm gonna put it on the YouTube because I want people to understand. With for those that didn't see this.
The violence at Souza Baranowski Correctional Center left 5 officers injured. A warning, the video you're about to see may be difficult to watch. The inmate standing
so this is the block I own. I ran this block also. So this is your flat, which is just a tear. The officer was just doing a tear around. There he is getting jumped.
2-on-1 until another correction officer rushes to help. Eventually, 3 inmates are involved and 5 officers injured. Several other officers helped subdue the inmates at Souza Baranowski Correctional Center. The president of the Correction Officers Union says one officer was stabbed 12 times and another was stabbed in the back and head. 3 others were hurt and bruised. One officer remains in the hospital in serious but stable condition. As for the weapons, the union president says inmates are sometimes able to get free tablets, smash them, and turn the metal strips in.
So the interesting part about that story is, and it makes me laugh because when I worked for it, you didn't get any tablets, you didn't get anything. You used to get this thing called a hot pot. And that hot pot is pretty interesting. Chris, you would take the bottom from it, you would open up the coil, and it was made out of metal, and you can make a nice little shank out of it. You can grab your toothbrush and you can make a nice little shank out of it. They used to grab their underwear and take the waistband. Do you know how you have that waistband that closes it? I don't know what type of material it is. They would roll it, melt it down, and it gets hard, and they can make a shank out of it. They would take their glasses, so inventive, and they would use that as a weapon. And what makes me laugh is people on the street like, well, you guys carry bully clubs. No, we don't. You guys carry mace. No, we don't. You absolutely carry nothing but your hand and a body alarm or a radio. That's it. And people got to understand I could run a block that has 72 inmates in there. 60 of them are great. They're there to do their time. They know they're in there incarcerated, trying to get out to the streets and do the right thing. And then you have those other bozos. And here's what's even funnier, Chris. The guys in there doing legit time don't want these piece of shits in their blocks. They literally will police themselves and say, get this guy out of here now, before we do something. So if you see, there's other convicts or inmates that were walking into their cells because they know they don't want anything to do with it. And the shameful part is, the old days, you would have inmates that would jump in to save the officers and vice versa. And now it doesn't even work that way.
It's a tough job dealing with convicts every day.
No, it is. It is. I just wanted to put that in for an input to it's like, because I've seen some horrible things that have occurred. Um, I've seen, what I mean, from riots to basically inmate on inmate deaths, people being stabbed from each other. It's just like a strange world. And then you're expecting officers to leave and think it's okay without having someone speak to them before leaving and saying you're good, going out to the streets. And it's like you guys, I know when you guys are involved in a shooting, they confiscate your weapon, correct? And then they turn around and you have to go speak to someone before being released, correct? Back to to duty.
They'll give you. They actually aren't too bad on that. They'll give you some. They'll give you some time. They're not going to like. I can't remember what the time frame is, but they'll give you. They'll give you some time to get yourself situated. They're not jumping on you right away. We actually have a team that goes out for any kind of shooting. That's what they specifically deal with. So they're not gonna jump on you right away. They're gonna let you get your head together, before they jump on you. It may be as much as 24 hours, but honestly, I can't remember.
Yeah. So what I want to say is this. So think about it, Chris. You've known me since we were kids, right? So obviously, I was shot and I healed back up and whatever, went through some rebuilding and things like that, got shot in the head. Um, and you know me, Chris, because me and you used to take tests together for the Mass State Police. I was so upset that you got 100 and I kept getting 97. I was like, screw you. You're a bitch. And you get on. And I was like, ah. And then obviously I know I couldn't get on because of the injury to the cranium. So I ended up getting onto the Department of Corrections. And what I would say is I met some incredible people, but in plain English, um, it's crooked. Okay. I had this piece of shit that basically my first time, which I didn't know and you know the story, the kid that shot me ended up working his way up there. I had no idea who he was. I found out. I tried to do the right thing because I want to do the right thing. I want to have my job. And he literally looked at my face and said, if you're scared, you shouldn't have came to work here. And my comment back was, the only person I'm scared of is my mother. So I kept working. Kid came at me, whatever, did what I had to do. Life goes on. But I just remembered no one, not one person, except people that were close to me. And trust me, in the joint, you have a small regime like you do. You trust very few because I hate to say it. There's not that many straight officers that work there. There's a lot of incredible straight guys, and then you have your little ones that fell through the hole because they needed to bring some people in to fill that gap. But I basically no one ever asked me, especially when last time me and him got in a fight, I broke my nose or whatever. No one. They just said to me, toughen up, come back in, which was no problem. I tried to come back in, but there was a big investigation about it. But it just made me laugh that everyone puts it out to be like us being bad and everything, where there is no us. I just took the job because it was a job that I could get that started a great career.
No, I know a guy, and I mean, usually, hopefully things don't slip through the cracks, but a lot of it do. And I know a guy, on our stop team who, had a shooting, and he was just say less than happy with the, with the phone calls he got or the checking on him or anything like that. And I think he had a decent amount of resentment because of it. Even the guys, guys on the job, and which I would think would be much tighter, the guys in the unit with them, so he was less than happy with the support he got. Because everyone's going to feel bad when you shoot somebody, but now you're thinking, shoot somebody, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to this? Am I going to that? Is it right? Is it wrong? I shot somebody, and there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I feel that way without even a weapon. I find that even when I was younger, the guilt and everything after a physical action occurred where it's like, oh my God, is that person all right? I never ran. I would sit there with them and everybody would be like, run, you got to get in trouble. And I'm like, but I didn't mean to do that. I want to see if he's all right. And next thing you know, you got these things that are happening, and it's like you don't want to see anybody injured. It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I've always noticed in this, and I'll be honest with you, Chris, the older I get, and I was told this a very long time ago, was that it's easy to hate than it is to forgive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you go in there with such an angered attitude, and it's easy to tell someone to F off than it is to tell someone to have a good day.
Yeah. Well, that's why, I mean, this is an extreme, but look at pro fighters, beat the crap out of each other for freaking 20 minutes and want to kill each other. And then afterwards they're, shaking hands and good to go. It's just business. It'd be nicer if, it could happen that way.
Well, we don't. And it's funny you said that. I started listening to this thing called Stoic Lessons, STOIC. I would turn everybody on to listening to that. And it's really, really good. It's finding yourself great through meditation. I listen to it every morning. Incredible. So my advice is take a look at this, and it makes you really start looking at yourself. And especially now, I'm going to be 55, Chris. Nah, the 23rd, baby. And I start to realize that's half a century. That means not too many years of life left, and I want to enjoy it. I want to meet more and more people. I want to have fun with this podcast. I want to have great interactions with people, and I want to have some type of substance for the rest of these years.
I don't know your family medical history, but depending on your family medical history, think about it this way: it's even more depressing, because I heard somebody say it. I think it was in a movie or something like that. He's like, around our age, he's like, depending on how your family history, is like 3/4 of my life is over.
Yep.
Fucking pretty depressing. 3/4 is over, and the last quarter is going to be the worst.
See, Chris, I find that interesting that you say that it's pretty depressing. I sat there the other day and looked at my wife and really just started like taking in things. And obviously we all have these drastic things that occur, or sadness and things that happen. But I think that's where life is now. You have to have some faults and some things that you need to defeat, because you need that. It needs to keep pushing you. There's got to be some type of struggle, but then there's always success in the end of it all. But every day you wake up, I look at it this way. I go back and we do it off the air. We start telling stories of the past, things we've done. We die laughing. And now I look and I always wondered, when I used to see a psychiatrist when I was younger, in elementary school, which was great. Dr. Fontes, I know you're still around in California, mad love. So, when I was a kid, and he used to have this picture on his wall. And at 7 years old, I just looked at it as a picture. It was a beach with footprints. And I'm like, what the hell is their footprints? And I remember he says, well, when the waves come, the footprints are gone. Did you leave a mark for yourself? And I thought that was so interesting. So my sister had these pictures, and there were stairwells, and they're behind me on the wall. And they reminded me of those footprints. Did I leave a mark? Like famous, wealthy people leave a legacy. Okay, some of us might not be able to leave a legacy of big finances for our family or whatever, but we can leave a footprint. We can leave something that's a memory. Remember Danny Archibald?
I do.
Great kid, right?
Yeah.
Tragically killed by a police officer drinking and driving, was driving the vehicle and crashed into a pole. Never got indicted, never nothing, right? Never got anything out of the deal, but Danny, who was a great kid, died, went through them. And I'm not going to, tragically, I'm going to tell you, it emotionally affected me as it would if you did or anybody else that was close to me. You're talking, we were kids when this happened. And I go back to think about Danny, because Danny loved MC Hammer, and he used to wear the clown pants and dance around. So sometimes I'll hear something and I think of Danny and I realize he left a big footprint in my mind. You know, it's like I always think of him. He's never been forgotten, him and his family. So I think when you say it's like a third of your life is gone, I think there's another lifespan that's going to happen after this life. So it's how you adapt to it and understand it.
All right. Well, 20. If I think about it this way, I got 20 years left. I'm like, oh, I got 20 years. That's a long time. But then when you flip it around, you say 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 is gone. It's it's a little enlightening. It's a little like OSH. I won't swear just in case, but kind of like oh, that's kind of really puts a stamp on it.
Well, if you think about it, Chris, how old's your oldest?
23.
Can you believe? Like mine is 19. I don't even remember 19 years going by, bro. Do you remember 23 years going by?
No.
That's how fast it is.
Right, and that's the scary part is because then the next 23 could go by quick too.
Yeah, and you know what? God bless us that we do have the next 20 or 30. You know, my family's usually they go to the hundreds. And I'm so blessed that like everybody in my family looks incredible. And you know what? They've gone through some sickness and some health issues, but they're survivors and they know they want to be around and they haven't finished what they're supposed to do here. So I do appreciate that. Well, once again, we went off the road with some emotional stuff there. So what I wanted to do was just kind of end that segment with what's improved. So it's pretty funny. I don't think this is improved to me. Others might think. So the Reform Act created the post commission for you guys, now suspending, decertifying officers, body cams funded by the state grants. It's not universal mandate. Springfield Police Department under DOG consent decree. Stumper, it was like stands for what's created by law. Peace officers, standards and training, police reform act. Now, I wanted to ask you this. Do you think the body cams really change the actions of what really happens?
I think, and I'll be optimistic, and I think this is true. I think it proves your innocence.
On both sides.
Usually. Yes, but more than likely, and maybe I'm biased, but yeah, like 98% of the people out there are great, but it proves your innocence because the guy will say, he did this, and you're like, okay, let's pull up the body camera, and he didn't do it. The problem I have is if I lie, they pull up the body cam. Now I'm in deep doo-doo, if you will, and if you lie and we pull up the body cam, almost inevitably nothing happens. So it should be used on both sides of the coin. People should be charged, just as I would be charged. So people should be charged. And I believe when I left, and it's probably still the same way because this is Massachusetts, I believe they don't use body cam for OUIs.
Really?
Why don't they use body cams for OUIs?
I didn't know that.
Let's just sit down. Hey, judge, jury, whoever it is. Hey, let's sit down and let's watch 20 minutes of video. Don't believe what I say. It's like, because you want me to remember that he tripped on the 9-step walk and turn. He tripped on step 3, and on step 4, he didn't touch heel to toe. And on step 6, his foot was crooked. And then when he turned around, he stumbled. And then when he went to his car, he put his hand on his car. You want me to remember all that? You know what? Let's just watch the video. Don't believe what I say. Don't listen to what I say. Let's just watch the video, and the video will prove or disprove, and we'll watch the video and we'll be done with it.
See, I didn't know that because they can use the video against evidence of you. So I didn't know that you can't use it against them.
Yeah, I can't use it for like OUI. And, if a girl says, or whatever, a guy says you punched him, or a girl says you did this, you did that, and they look at the video and it's not there, they're not being charged.
Hey, let me ask you something. So I was wondering this. So let's just go back to when you were on duty. So you've dealt with motorcycle people, right? Pulled them over.
Hmm.
Can they wear a GoPro on their helmet? And is it a violation of the Mass state law because the GoPro is above their helmet? But yet, if they open up their visor and their visor is higher than the GoPro, is that illegal? Because you have to wear eyewear. So that's kind of two-part question.
Again, I would say no. I would say it's legal. It's fine. I mean, what's wrong with it? He has his helmet on, which is part of the law, and he has a GoPro on top of it, which doesn't affect the wearing of the helmet. I wouldn't write somebody or care if somebody had that.
So there's a huge case going on where the state police stated that it was a violation with the ML chapter laws of having a GoPro on top of the helmet. And this guy knew his laws, knew everything, kept saying, "What violation is it?" The guy kept saying it was a traffic violation. He goes, "What type of traffic violation was it?" And he goes, "I want to talk to your sergeant," which I didn't know. Like, you guys can deny that because you guys are the on-site person and you guys don't have people to come onto site like that. Like, if I say I want to talk to your superior, you can't, because you guys patrol so many areas of location that for you to have that barracks come all the way here or whatever per se, you can't. But needless to say, somebody else did show up and turned around and goes, "Yeah, you violated ML chapter law." And the guy says, "But what chapter law did I violate?" And they said, "If you don't give us your license so we can write you a ticket, we got to arrest you." I thought that was so interesting.
Well, all right. Well, that's two different things. That's not just one thing. So yes, if you don't give me your license, if you don't agree with the ticket, that really doesn't matter. Whether or not there's something, there's a lot of chapter and sections, and there's a lot of freaking laws out there. I don't know where it would apply, but if the cop is wrong about writing you a ticket, okay, you go to court and it gets fixed. That's inconvenience, but it's still the way things need to be done. But yes, if you don't agree with the ticket, like, what's the difference if I say you were speeding, you say no, I wasn't, and I say okay, whatever, let the judge sort it out, give me a license and registration, you say no, that's arrestable.
So at no time, and I know you're not an attorney, at no time, if you approach me with the vehicle, right, it doesn't even matter. Like, I love it when I get pulled over and people say to me, "You know why I'm pulling you over?" I'm not trying to be a punk, but I'm always like, "No, but I'm very interested in why." That's what I say. And they tell me, and then they ask me for my license and registration. Um, so my question is, at no time, even though I know not faulted, not anything, they probably pulled me over because of the car I drive.
No, you were probably speeding and weren't paying attention. Let's be honest now.
Do you really want me to be honest?
Yeah, you
Hold
were
on. Do you know
honest.
why?
No,
I think I told you why.
I've heard this. I've heard this
Yeah.
story before, but
My phone fell off the the holder for it that I had, and I was speaking to my wife on the phone. And when I stopped at the red light, I picked it up off the floor, clicked it back in, took my hand off it. It was on Bluetooth, but I don't like my phones being thrown around. So I bought a clicker for it. And he pulled me over. First thing he said was, "Wow, nice car." And then I'm like, "Okay." And I said, "Is there a reason for pull?" "Oh, you had your phone in your hand." But I said, "Sir, all due respect, you saw I went to the floor at the red light and I clipped it back on and I never touched it." I go, "I have my wife on Bluetooth." And I said, "Hon, I'm being pulled over. I need to hang up." Then he comes back, and I'd rather him write me the ticket than write me a warning. And he gives me a warning for it. And it made absolutely no sense. And I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but he was a young kid, newly to the field. You would have gave me a ticket, Chris, on that. Truthfully. Not only knowing that happened because you saw it happen.
Okay.
He even
Okay,
admitted
well,
he saw it happen.
All right. Well, you're making assumptions that he went to the floor, but
I'm
let's
making
be-
assumption. Of course I went to the floor to grab it. He saw me.
You're making assumptions that he saw the phone in your hand, but he may not necessarily have seen the phone in the cradle, seen the phone fall, seen you pick it up.
You're absolutely right, because what he
you're
said.
in cars driving.
No. The car wasn't driving, Chris. I was at a full stop at a red light talking
Which
to
is
my
still-
wife.
which
And
is
then,
still illegal.
yeah, no, but I didn't have the phone in my hand. What? I can't talk on my phone on Bluetooth?
You can't. People say I'm at a red light and I'm stopped, and that's okay, and that's not okay.
No. So
Okay,
I'm
just saying.
stopped. I'm stopped at the red light, but because I speak with my hands, right? She said something. I reached forward and I hit the phone. He's staring right at me because I looked and I kind of went like that. So he even said he saw me hit it. Then the light didn't turn, it was still red. I bent down doing this while looking at the red light, picked up the phone, clipped it back in, took my hand off it, kept speaking for a good, I'm going to say maybe 15 more seconds or less, drove. He followed me. Now, to me, I go over the road, plenty of room to pull me over right there where there was like a little mini mall. He followed me like a good 100 yards, then pulled me over at the worst place because it was a 2-lane, like where cars go. So now I have to stop at a lane because I couldn't go forward. So come on. He even said it to me, bro. He said it to me.
All right, whether he gave you the ticket or not that doesn't really. I would give you a ticket or not, doesn't matter. The fact says, okay, you said he followed you for a good 100 yards. That's like a second. That's not a long time.
I didn't say it was a long time, but I said at least 100 yards.
Yeah, that's not a long time driving in a car. Second, did Mr. Montero, did you, and I'm not saying I'd give you a ticket, but the fact still remains, and he did give you a warning, which doesn't mean anything. Did you have your phone at any time in your hand?
Absolutely. I do. I'm not going to deny that. I even told him.
All right. So there you go. That's, I'm not saying to write you a ticket. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying that you had your phone in your hand while you were talking, which is illegal.
You say apples, I say orange. It wasn't in my hand when I was moving. It was on it. You see me click.
Well, that's what I was telling
No. And I understand that. I understand what you're saying. It was still in my hand.
Right. If you stop at a red light and you make the phone call while at the red light and then hang up before you turn screen, it's still technically illegal.
Yeah, but to me, it's like,
he gave you a warning.
He gave me a warning. I'd rather have the ticket.
Why?
Because now that means anytime I get pulled over, and if the situation happens again, that warning is on the screen. But a ticket could be thrown out.
But the ticket's still on the screen too, dude.
Oh, it is?
Even worse.
I didn't think the ticket was on the screen.
Yep, it'll be just have an NR next to it. So, yeah, the ticket's still on the screen. So trust me, the warning's better. And warnings don't mean anything. Up until we went fully computerized, they probably went into a big trash bin when they were carbon copies. Nobody kept track of warnings.
So how long till the warning comes off my record?
It'll be on there forever.
Son of a B. Are you serious?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Each individual case is by itself. So
I look at it like a credit report. I don't like anything bad on it.
Yeah. Well, you got a warning, so just you're good to go.
All right, bro. Anything you want to say before we close out?
No. Yeah, just back to that. Like I said, the overtime scandal was bad. It looked bad. There was one person in particular who was egregious, who was really bad, and they did fire him. A lot of the stuff was, unfortunately, it was known by this. It was a known past practice, and et cetera, et cetera. Do I agree with it? No, but it wasn't as egregious as it sounds, because they talk about the one guy who did the effed up things, which were definitely effed up, and they think the other, I don't even know, 21 guys did the same thing, which isn't true. And then the other guy is, I think he's in federal court. I think I saw that was the last thing. Hey, and you want to bring up other stuff? I don't know much about it, but our union president went to federal court for money skimming and scheming and all that. He was found guilty in federal court.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Couple presidents ago. Oh yeah. He was a fucking I don't even want to imagine how much union dues he stole. But people liked him because, frankly, he was a charismatic guy. He was a badass guy that you wouldn't say anything to him. And at the same token, he was, it was at the time where we were getting like 5% raises. So if you're a fucking monkey, scratching yourself, and we're getting 5% raises, we're gonna love you, right?
Yeah.
They don't care what happens. You get a 5. It's like, if whatever president's in office, if the economy's booming, everybody's happy. We don't care if you're a monkey. And that's how he had it. It was during good times where we're getting 5% raises. So, he couldn't do any wrong.
Jesus.
So,
all right. Well, these are things we definitely need to touch base on. But you know what I want to do before we hang up anyways? I want to say that tomorrow, make yourself available. We got to work out the niche on this because I want to make sure that I was ready to go at 12. People were waiting at 12, and now we ran this late to the point where I always wanted Maria to close out with one of her Maria things. But now it's ran so late because it took us a while to get on. I want to get this back on the right program and making sure that the people that we do have that are eagerly waiting for this and making sure that we're together on it. Friday, we do have another podcast, but with Dr. Wong, and it's the month for male grooming. And she wants to discuss with male grooming and about the care, pre-care and aftercare, because skin cancer is rising. And it's the false belief that men shouldn't wear SPF lotions on their skin and stuff. I just have a very dear friend of mine. I will not say his name. Besides the other one, he just had skin cancer and just had his face. Lucky for the plastic surgeon, did an incredible job. Right across his under eye, dude. He had over 50 stitches, bro, and you can't even see it. It's right across his cheek. Beautiful job. Just from skin cancer. And putting baby oil on your face is not protecting you from the sun. So
I was gonna say, I'll show you this one. I got one on my arm. It was probably like half the size of an eraser head. So I went to the doctor to look at it, and I thought it was like nothing, and he ended up cutting it out. So size of an eraser head or smaller. The scar is probably 2 inches long, and it was so friggin' deep. He had to cauterize underneath and then stitch up top. That's how big it was.
yeah, see, it's the care. None of us realize about skincare and the value of skincare. And then, men, macho, it's a bunch of girls, metro, and this and that. Now look what happened to you. So maybe you should tune in for the podcast and have some questions for the doctor on Friday. So it should be very, very eventful.
Quick question. Is it skincare or grooming? Because when I think of male grooming, I'm thinking about shaving my undercarriage.
Yep, it's doing it all. It's shaving it the right way. Guys that get ingrown, why do you get ingrown? Cross shaving, all this stuff. It's learning everything that has to do with you as a male and grooming and your care as a male. Like, hey, I don't like hair on my body either. I think it's disgusting.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right, bro.
All right, brother. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I promise we're going to get it squared away. We don't have an issue on podcast days with the doctor because she's here.
Yeah, well, when I come there, you're always late. It's
like
a 7-hour. It's like a 7-hour day,
everybody.
bro. Let's be honest. You're always late. It's like a 7-hour day.
Never late.